Hey guys, what's up? My name is Art and welcome back to another video. Today's video, this is my second video today, so I'm kind of inspired. Doesn't happen very often lately, but it is. Now, yesterday was Sunday and I finally finished watching the Acolyte TV show. So let me talk to you about it. Some of you might have not watched it yet, and some of you have. And of course, some of you have probably read about all the people bitching and complaining about this show. And when I chime in, some people looked at me and said, Art, you're not a true Star Wars fan because I don't agree with what they're saying. Okay. So let's talk about it. The Acolyte TV show came out, a couple months ago? I waited a full month. Well, it started with two. I waited about a full month to start watching it because I wanted to see a big chunk of stuff. So like whenever there's a new TV show comes out, I try to wait to see a couple of stuff. Like for example, the new season of Doctor Who just finished some time ago. And when I get the chance to watch it, and I can watch it in blocks so I can get a better feel for it. Instead of just piecing it. And a lot of people complain about it. It's breaking the lore. Anakin Skywalker is not special anymore. Blah, blah, blah. They're destroying the George Lucas legacy. They're doing it. And I'm sitting here and it's like... Okay, I hear you. So, let me recount to you something I had said in one of my little discussions with a bunch of people. I said, you know what? I was born in the 70s. I saw the original trilogy in theaters. 1977 in May, I think it was May, or it could be June. My mother on an afternoon took me to see Star Wars, and I was hooked. A couple months later, my brother was born. That's how I could definitely remember that. Okay, 1980 Empire Strikes Back, we saw that in theaters. Then 83 Return to the Jedi, saw that in theaters. George Lucas said, I'm done. I told my story. He licensed Star Wars to a whole bunch of creators, and they created what is called the expanded universe. Timothy Zahn wrote a bunch of novels. People made video games like X-Wing Rogue Squadron and all these video games and stuff like that. Marvel Comics had the license to do the comic books, which I read a lot of. I read a lot of those, so trust me. And the stories they did, sometimes they were very good, and sometimes they were just completely awful. Since there was no movie to hype it up, it just dwindled. Okay? Now think about that. Now think about this. From 1983 to about 1996 or 97. I think the Phantom Menace came out in 99, I think. Or is it 98? One of those two. Think about it. These novels, video games, comic book. After Marvel lost the license, it went to Dark Horse. Dark Horse did a whole bunch of stuff. It kept Star Wars alive, and it created a lore. Air quotes, lore. And I remember George Lucas talking about this. He goes, after the, here's the funny thing is, after the what I call the Rise and Fall of Anakin Skywalker, the first 3 episodes, 1, 2, and 3. After that, a lot of people fans of Star Wars said he destroyed his creation because of midichlorians. Because of all the lore that they read over the years of how the Force works. But the guy who created it, who knows how the Force works, finally tells you how the Force works. A lot of people didn't want to accept that. They didn't want to accept that. But they bitched and complained about it. And I remember watching an interview with him. He goes, the story of Star Wars is the 6 films. That's the whole story of Star Wars. The whole story. So anything that happened in the 6 films is the true story, or what is called canon. Everything else is like fan fiction. Luke never gets married and have a kid. Han Solo and Leia don't have twins. He basically said this in his interview. He basically said it's not canon. It's like basically he equivocate all this stuff. This thing that helped kept his work alive as fan fiction. Then all of a sudden, him and Dave Filoni comes up and creates the Clone Wars TV show. It's between episodes 2 and 3. Smash it. Instead of focusing on Obi-Wan and Anakin and all that, they focus a lot on other characters that was in the films. And you see their character. Very good. George Lucas also helped. I don't know how involved he was, but I know he had a hand in it. So if he had a hand in something, it is what is called a canon. So like, for example, The Force Unleashed, the video game, he did have a hand in it somewhat. So that was actually canon. The MMO that I played sometimes called the Knights of the Old Republic is still considered canon. It's not, sorry, fan fiction, because he didn't have a hand in it. The lightsaber forms, he never created that. I don't remember him saying, yeah, there's these lightsaber forms. I don't think he ever said anything like that. And if he did, I'm pretty sure someone will say, yeah, in this interview he said this. Okay. Or that's not how it works. Okay. But basically what happens is the lore is fan fiction. And so people consider the lore fan fiction. The characters are fan fiction. Now it's true, I do have some Star Wars Black Series figures. I do. Obi-Wan sitting over there. Well, not sitting. He's on the wall. But I got Darth Malgus. Those from the old Knights of the Old Republic. I got Darth Revan. These are big lore people in the expanded universe. And he goes, yeah, that exists. Okay. And then one day he says, that exists, but that's not the true story. That's what we call the expanded. And then he say, this is canon, and this is the expanded universe, which may or may not be true and legit, but it exists. It's like an alternate dimension, or some people call it lazy writing. But anyway, so now he sells it to Disney. When I heard that, I said, oh my God, Disney's gonna mess this up. Then Disney decides what is canon. They made the decision to say, okay, certain things are not canon anymore. Some things are going to be canon. So since Disney owns Lucasfilms, which owns Star Wars, they decide what's legit and what's fan fiction. And you can complain about it all you want, but guess what? Lore is not fan fiction. The official lore is what they put out. The 6 movies, the Clone Wars TV show, and what they're putting out is the actual canon. Nothing more. So that means if they want to change how certain things work, they can do that because they own it. But you're messing up the canon. No, they're creating new canon. They take the existing stuff and changing it a little bit. So maybe the Force doesn't work exactly how you want it to anymore because George Lucas doesn't own it. Now, true, I remember seeing a little interview with Freddie Prinze Jr., how he explains how the Force works. Okay? The Force is his own. Force is like a person. It decides who wins. The Force decides who wins, who dies, who wins, who loses, and everything else. Now, of course, the fan fiction kind of seeps into the actual core because certain things happening. Like, for example, in episode 3, when Palpatine said, "Have you heard about Plagueis the Wise, the Sith Lord, Plagueis the Wise? He could manipulate life." And so what happened was the theory is that Darth Plagueis and Darth Tenebris and all those guys, they manipulated the Force, which created Anakin Skywalker. That was the theory. That was the theory that people held. Okay, now think about now think about that. Now think about it. Darth Plagueis manipulated the Force to create Anakin Skywalker. Because in the Phantom Menace, he was like Jesus. I hate to say it like that, and I'm trying to be sacrilegious, but miraculous birth. He had no father. The Force came in and just took Shimmy and said, "You're having a child." Boom. Now let's see what happens. He's going to bring balance to the Force. How's he going to bring balance? His children is actually going to bring the balance to the Force. Luke and Leia. So he's like the false prophet. His children is bringing the balance. His bringing the balance is having the children. If you want to break it down that way. But anyway. That's basically where I'm at with the lore and my viewpoint of it. Now, mind you, I didn't read the novels. I wasn't a very big reader. I didn't play a lot of the video games. I didn't do a lot of the stuff. But, I mean, hey, it is what it is. Okay? But there's videos, Star Wars Theory, The Stupendous Wave. These guys, they do Star Wars lore ad nauseum. Okay, so I'm not going with that. So here's my synopsis of the Acolyte. It was supposed to be about the dark side. Why is there Jedis all over the Acolyte? I thought when I heard about this, it's going to be about a Dark Lord and his apprentice trying to learn the dark side of the Force. Doing, that's what I thought, and I didn't get that. I was kind of disappointed. I did not get that. Okay, so backstory: Leslie Headland, or Leland, or whatever her name is. She has a square head. That's the best way I could have put it. She has a square head. She's like Hammerhead, if you know what I'm talking about. Spider-Man's a flat top head kind of thing. She looks kind of weird that way, but oh well. Supposedly she was assistant to Harvey Weinstein. Okay. Oh well. Who cares? People were harping about that. But then again, her claim to fame was that she never read or saw a Star Wars product. Now, there are some people out, now to tell you, very few and far between, there's some people who never saw Star Wars at all. Or read Star Wars, or nothing. There is some people out there. Trust me, there is. Or if they did, they don't remember it. But anyway, but I don't know how you cannot see Star Wars and not remember it, okay? There's some people out there now. She had no contact with Star Wars whatsoever, and you're going to have that person write a Star Wars film. TV show. Oh. Okay. See, a lot of people want to talk about forcing agendas. Why is the men kind of goofy and dumb, while the women are more smarter? So was it a really agenda piece? Maybe. I don't know. But this is how I see it. Okay, so do women think, and tell you the truth, to a certain extent, a lot of women think men are stupid. A lot of women think that. They do. Listen to women talk sometimes. sometimes about their spouses or boyfriends, you think they're married to an idiot. If you're married to an idiot, why did you marry him? Why are you dating him? Why are you dating an idiot? Okay? I never really saw a person say my husband's a very smart man. But okay. so now I just finished the whole series. I'm not going to bash the show because you know why? You know why I'm not going to bash the show? Because I actually enjoyed the show. I did. But here's the thing. We know a Jedi. We know about the upper echelons of Jedis. Okay? We look at the Obi-Wan, which is the pinnacle of what a Jedi is supposed to be. Yoda, the pinnacle of what a Jedi. Mace Windu, pinnacle of what a Jedi could be. We have these characters right here, and this is what a Jedi is supposed to be. What happens if someone doesn't reach that high status or on that caliber? What happens if someone's on the gray area or not as good? That's that show. That's the show I'm looking. That's the show I'm looking at. That's what the Acolyte is to me. You look at these Jedi and look at how not necessarily high and mighty, but see how the pinnacle, what they're supposed to be. What happens if someone doesn't reach that pinnacle? To me, that's what the Acolyte is. That's what the show is. Okay. So first, we gotta. I'm not gonna do spoilers if you never saw the show. So let's just put it that way. I'm gonna tell you as much as I can without giving you actual spoilers. Every Jedi on that show, only one Jedi is doing things by the book. I just put it that way. One Jedi is doing things by the book. Every other Jedi failed in their moral compass because of selfishness. That's all I'm going to say. As a Jedi, you're not supposed to have attachments. You had a Jedi who has attachments. You have a Jedi who has a theory, and he's going on that theory. We're not looking at Qui-Gon Jinn who says, I serve the will of the Force. He goes against the council because the Force tells him so. We ain't talking about that. Selfish reasons. Every Jedi on the show had a selfish reason. And that's one of the reasons why they're bad Jedi. Jedi are not bad. No. Selfish reasons. Dumb reasons. Things that should not make them Jedi or make them not as great of a Jedi. We saw that. Okay? Every single one of them. Except for one. But the problem is that one Jedi who was on the up and up had a lot of flaws as well. If you watch the show, you'll see exactly what it is. Now we have a Sith. We have not a Sith Lord. We don't have a Sith Lord. We have someone who's trying to be a Sith. We don't even know if he's actually a Sith or trying to be a Sith. The only thing you know, does the dark side. Trying to train somebody. Looking for an apprentice. Okay. So instead of one person, we get the switcheroo. Now they're talking about convergence. A convergence is when something miraculous happens in the Force. Now remember when I said Darth Plagueis manipulated the Force to create Anakin? So what happened is, and this is a spoiler, but you should watch it for yourself. A group of Force users, because according to George Lucas, anything out of the ordinary is the Force. So like, for example, if Harry Potter was in Star Wars, they're using magic is the Force. They used the Force to create a convergence, to create a child. That's the only spoiler I'm going to give. Okay? Which ties into all, and that's why they say it's rule. That's why they say Anakin is not the special anymore. Well, according to the lore, didn't this one person manipulate this and this happened? So how's that special? Okay. Or I look at it this way. Or the Force could be just playing a cruel joke on everybody. I'll do this, see what happens. And I'll do that, I'll see what happens. I'll do this and see what happens. There we go. That's my theory. But anyway, there was some teasers. In the last episode, there was some teasers, which I was like, ooh, okay, cool. But see, what happens is the bad guy was awesome, in my opinion. He was awesome. He's what a potential Sith is supposed to be. And the thing is that probably because, I mean, we could talk about Vader all he wants, but his fighting style was kind of tame. Battle of the Fates between when Anakin was fighting Obi-Wan, that was like the most awesome Sith battle, Jedi battle. This one tried to do it, but it's not quite. But let's just put it this way. You have to see it to what I understand. It's not as good as the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight, but this one is okay. Even in my opinion, even the Qui-Gon and Darth Maul fight was better than this fight in this show. But it was kind of good. And it pushed the boundaries a little bit. It pushed the One thing I can say about the show, it pushed the boundaries a little bit. It pushed the boundaries a little bit. So that's like, wow, they actually did this? And the thing is, this person here who had no sense of Star Wars ability, that's what they claim, but I'm pretty sure she had to know, seen something, because she's using elements that of Star Wars, so she had to know something of it. But anyway, they said the writing was bad, and I was like, okay. But then again, this is in the High Republic era. This is 100 years before Phantom Menace. So think about it. Things could have changed slightly in 100 years. Because like, for example, if you watch the Phantom Menace and stuff like that, they have a totally different look. So there could be a lot of changes in 100 years. Could have been. But anyway, was it really predictable? To some extent, it was predictable. But in a lot of sense, it did something different. Instead of doing the same old Star Wars cliche. Now, for example, Rogue One was awesome because it wasn't a traditional Star Wars film. It was think of a James Bond / Bourne conspiracy movie, Jason Bourne or something like that, or I don't know, something like that. It's like a spy movie and a revenge kind of thing, all rolled into one, and it was totally different. And that's why Rogue One was awesome. It was a departure from the norm. Andor was awesome as well. It was very slow, but it was very awesome because guess what? It departed from the norm. Ahsoka, in my opinion, was decent, but it just lacked a little bit of Ahsoka. So you got one or two things. See, with the Clone Wars and stuff like that, you saw Ahsoka being acrobatic and all this other stuff. She ain't acrobatic. Maybe she's older. Maybe because she's not as acrobatic because she's older. Maybe if that was the case, then I can understand her not being able to do flips and all this other stuff. I could see that. If that was the case, no problem. But to me, it was decent, but it just like, it was okay. And to me, the Acolyte is okay. It's a decent. It's not something that wows me. It's like, oh my God, I gotta watch that again. I'll probably watch it again sometime next year. Okay. Like, for example, I just saw Andor for the first time in almost a year. Or maybe a year. Yeah, probably about a year. And I'll probably watch Ahsoka maybe in the next couple of months. But you see what I'm saying? I was just finally starting to watch I just saw the Phantom Menace for the first time in about a year and a half. So, like I said, I recycle and repeat these movies. So, like I said, I try to do all that. But in terms of the Acolyte TV show, it's a very different TV show. And whether you like it or not is really it's up to you. But me personally, I think everybody's overblowing it a lot, saying about, you know, all this other stuff, because guess why? Number one, George Lucas doesn't own the show anymore. And since George Lucas doesn't own the show, Disney could do whatever the hell it wants, regardless of how you feel about it. And think about it. You look up and say, I ain't going to watch the show. You're going to watch. Guess what? All these guys, they're watching their show still. They watch it till they can complain about it on their YouTube channel and try to generate income. That's what I call hate watching. They do that. So, yeah, okay, I get it. You watch it to hate it. That's fine. That's fine. No big deal. But to me, I thought it was a decent show. And with that being said, hey, my suggestion is watch it for yourself and see if you like it or not. You might agree with me. You might not agree with me. And the funny thing is, whenever I say something about, you complain about lore that's non-fiction, that's fan fiction, a lot of people say, yeah, you're right. This is fan. A lot of stuff you complain about is not even legit because George Lucas had no involvement with it. Thumbs up, thumbs down, who knows? But anyway, with that being said, thanks very much for watching. I ranted almost half an hour on this. And I usually don't for shows like this, but I kind of had to kind of show you where I was looking at it from all standpoints. And you know, and I'm going to do this for every new show that comes out that I watch. Maybe late, but that's okay. It is what it is. So with that being said, thanks very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in another video.